He inked a $28 million enforcement deal and contributed nothing. There's no evidence of any actions taken by him. No activity, no engagements, no shares, no posts, no initiatives like tree planting. Kawhi Leonard received $28 million for total inaction. No promotions, no events, nada. Under mounting stress, Kawhi has allegedly escalated his actions, informing on the Clippers and revealing a conspiracy larger than anyone thought possible. The most startling aspect? His own statements might lead to contract cancellations, jeopardizing the Clippers' future. Let's analyze this. The groundbreaking probe. On September 3, 2025, investigative sports reporter Pablo Torre unveiled what could be the most shocking basketball report in years. Following 7 months of investigation and the examination of more than 3,000 documents, Torre revealed what seems to be an intricate plot tied to the Los Angeles Clippers, their billionaire owner Steve Ballmer, and the now-defunct environmental firm Aspiration. In 2019, the NBA launched an investigation into how the Clippers acquired Kawhi Leonard. They found no evidence, which frustrated the league, particularly the Lakers and the Raptors, who were all curious about the means through which Ballmer and the Clippers secured Leonard. However, this is where Torre's inquiry takes a fascinating turn. The narrative transcends mere basketball or financial limits. It revolves around two Harvard alumni, both Democratic figures, who initiated what eventually became a climate-focused initiative valued at $2.3 billion. This company attracted an impressive lineup of star endorsers, featuring names like Robert Downey Jr., Leonardo DiCaprio, Cindy Crawford, and Orlando Bloom. Yet, until now, the most crucial and highest-paying endorsement deal they've secured, surpassing the collective worth of all other celebrity agreements by over 4 times, has remained under wraps. That endorsement agreement was inked with arguably one of the least effective promoters among top athletes in the U.S., Kawhi Leonard. The venture behind this initiative was Aspiration, which received a hefty investment of $50 million from Steve Ballmer, who isn't just the proprietor of the Los Angeles Clippers, but also the wealthiest owner across all sports. The timing of this arrangement is key to grasping why it could be the most advanced method of bypassing the salary cap in NBA history. What elevates this narrative further is what Torre uncovered regarding Leonard's actual involvement with the environmental firm. When questioned about any evidence that Kawhi Leonard performed tasks to justify that staggering $28 million, Torre's reply was crushing. That's the aspect I enjoy the most. Normally, in a narrative like this, you might assert that a lack of evidence is an issue. However, in this case, the mere lack of evidence serves as evidence itself. He secured a $28 million endorsement deal, yet produced no results. There is no tangible proof of any accomplishments on his part. Nothing at all. No likes, no retweets, no mentions, no tree plantings. This was a firm dedicated to offsetting your carbon footprint through tree planting and contributing to environmental preservation. Kawhi's activities were invisible to anyone searching. Let's analyze the timeline that raises eyebrows. In August 2021, Leonard committed to a 4-year, $176.3 million deal with the Clippers. This agreement was viewed as undervalued considering Leonard's elite status, providing the Clippers with enhanced salary cap maneuverability. A month later, in September 2021, Ballmer poured $50 million into Aspiration through his LLC, Polpad. But there's more to the story. In the same month, the Clippers revealed Aspiration as a founding partner for their new Intuit Dom Arena, tied to a substantial 23-year sponsorship deal worth $300 million. In November 2021, Leonard's business, KL2 Aspire, was officially established in California. By April 2022, his endorsement agreement, worth $28 million over 4 years, was set into motion. The arrangement poses significant challenges for the Clippers due to the specific terms of Leonard's contract. Investigative reports reveal that the deal contained provisions enabling Leonard to remain inactive while still receiving payments. Furthermore, if Leonard were to leave the Clippers or retire, the agreement would become null and void, effectively linking these substantial payments to his ongoing role with the franchise. The ramifications of this narrative reach well past Leonard and the Clippers. It seems to link to a broader fraudulent operation that has led to serious criminal accusations. Joe Sandberg, co-founder of Aspirations, admitted guilt in August 2025 for wire fraud exceeding $248 million. Furthermore, the company submitted a Chapter 11 bankruptcy declaration in March 2025. What makes this story especially intriguing is how it relates to Leonard's previous conduct during the free agency period. Torre's investigation reveals that Leonard's camp has a long history of pursuing no-show jobs. Back in his 2019 free agency talks with the Toronto Raptors, Leonard's uncle and advisor, Dennis Robertson, was also looking for no-show sponsorships and ownership interests in outside firms. The notable distinction here is that the Raptors turned down these requests, whereas the Clippers seem to have accepted comparable arrangements. The extent of Torre's inquiry is truly remarkable, as he went beyond just examining documents and bankruptcy filings. Torre spoke with 7 unnamed ex-employees of Aspiration, one of whom was willing to use the voice module for comments. When directly questioned about Leonard's connection to the company, the feedback was harsh. Did you ever witness any evidence of Leonard marketing or supporting Aspiration in any fashion? Absolutely not. Not a single instance. The largest single payment made to an individual for promoting Aspiration has mysteriously escaped all media coverage. It's truly astonishing. Absolutely nothing. You were required to do nothing at all. To put another way, Kawhi Leonard secured a $28 million position without having to show up. Indeed, it's remarkable. This extends beyond a single athlete or a particular team. The implications for the NBA are vast. According to the 2023 collective bargaining agreement, breaches could result in drastic penalties, reminiscent of the 2000 situation with the Minnesota Timberwolves and Joe Smith, which cost them 5 first-round selections. This narrative is particularly intriguing as it vividly illustrates what we understand about Leonard's character and his career ethos. Stephen A. Smith, known for his directness, delivered an extremely harsh critique of Leonard's integrity regarding this incident. Allow me to say this. To begin with, I'll always extend a measure of trust towards Steve Ballmer. With that in mind, I must express what genuinely captures my attention and the reasoning behind it. You might find it surprising, but parts of this do ring true. There's a line that mentions the agreement involving Kawhi Leonard's organization, K1 or KL2 Aspire, LLC. It contained provisions that permitted Leonard to remain inactive while still receiving compensation. That's the Kawhi Leonard I recognize. Earning money while being idle. Stephen A. went further. His insights hit the mark. This is precisely why the controversy surrounding Leonard resonates so authentically with those who have tracked his journey. Upon seeing this report declaring money for idleness, I couldn't help but stop and reflect. It wasn't merely because of Steve Ballmer or the video itself, but because of Leonard. If there exists a method for this individual to secure funds effortlessly, he's undoubtedly mastered it. The intriguing aspect of this scandal, if you can even label it as such, is its striking correlation with Leonard's long-standing behavioral patterns. He has cultivated an image of unparalleled professionalism on the court, yet he has persistently devised strategies to enhance his income while reducing his actual effort. The intricacies of this deceit, along with Steve Ballmer's reactions, unfold in a revealing manner. To grasp the full extent of this intriguing situation, we must delve into Aspiration itself. This wasn't merely a brief venture. Aspiration was established in 2013 by Joe Sandberg and Andrew Cherney, branded as a green fintech enterprise, emphasizing tree planting and carbon offset initiatives. By 2021, the company successfully secured $865 million in funding and achieved a valuation of $2.3 billion. But this is where the narrative takes a dramatic turn. The deception within Aspiration wasn't minor in scope. Federal probes uncovered that 80 to 90% of the asserted $865 million in funds originated from fraudulent letters of intent. Pause to consider this. The foundation of this company was fundamentally rooted in deception. Astonishingly, Steve Ballmer, renowned as one of the most accomplished entrepreneurs ever, fell for it entirely. Once the scandal surfaced, Steve Ballmer reacted promptly and resolutely. Yet, as you view his interviews, it's as if you can witness the wheels turning in his mind as he attempts to separate himself from what seems to be a deeply awkward scenario for a person of his business savvy. Let's converse with the supporter. We finalized that agreement with Kawhi prior to any of this, long before any of this, even before Kawhi was acquainted with these individuals. Our agreement was in place. That reflects true integrity. We struck an agreement with ambition. To be honest, I truly had no authority over the business. In fact, even after my investment, someone else contributed 6 times more than I did. However, what's fascinating about Ballmer's reaction is that he's not merely refuting any awareness of the plan. He's portraying himself as a victim. In a series of interviews, Ballmer has repeatedly claimed that he was deceived by Aspiration, declaring, "They tricked me." Let's be honest, Steve Ballmer is not your average entrepreneur. This is the ex-CEO of Microsoft, a man whose net worth is around $120 billion. It stretches believability to the utmost for a person of his stature to assert he had no knowledge of a $28 million payout to a top athlete backed by a company in which he invested $50 million. Yet, the deeper you explore Ballmer's rationale, the more inquiries it spawns. During his interview, he asserts his claim regarding his authority, no authority. And that's perfectly fine. The typical supporter ought to comprehend that. They proceeded to strike a bargain. I'm not aware of the specifics of the agreement. I'm familiar with the rumors and the discussions, but the actual details remain unclear to me. Honestly, I can't say if it's significantly different, slightly altered, or entirely the same. In comparison to various endorsement agreements athletes enter into, this reply is intriguing for multiple reasons. Primarily, Ballmer is acknowledging that he poured $50 million into a firm without any form of oversight or governance. Additionally, he states that he was unaware of a transaction related to his prominent player. This is surprising, given that bankruptcy documents explicitly indicate KL2 Aspire, Leonard's LLC, is cited as a creditor for $7 million. The sequence of events is key to grasping why doubts about Ballmer's claims of innocence have arisen. In September 2021, Ballmer put in $50 million into Aspiration. That same month, the Clippers revealed their substantial $300 million sponsorship agreement with Aspiration. Merely 2 months later, Aspiration reached out to the Clippers for an introduction to Leonard. By April 2022, the $28 million arrangement was finalized. Doubts about Ballmer's assertions are certainly valid. An analyst highlighted this in their remarks, stating, "I recall hearing Steve Ballmer claim, I didn't manage the company. We adhered to protocol." Upon hearing those statements, it raises questions about what else is at play here, Steve. Were you at all aware of any alternative agreements? Simply respond to the inquiry. The analyst draws a parallel that vividly captures why this scenario resonates with enthusiasts of NBA lore. It echoes the era of Eddie DeBartolo, who owned the San Francisco 49ers. Numerous salary cap regulations were, it seems, established after the NFL probed DeBartolo's unconventional compensation strategies following their Super Bowl victory. He lavishly treated the team in Hawaii, presenting them with outrageously priced Rolex watches exceeding a specified value. Technically, those were supposed to be reported. He supposedly organized their investments in ventures such as mini shopping centers or similar entities. A remarkable fellow emerged from New Orleans mired in gambling accusations. Nevertheless, he endeavored to unify his team and increase player wages. This led to the development of several salary cap regulations. Understanding this history is crucial as it highlights that affluent owners have long sought inventive methods to navigate salary cap limitations. What stands out is the immense scope and complexity of this scheme. It seems to be linked to an extensive corporate fraud operation. As you delve deeper into the specifics of this case, the intricate network of connections becomes increasingly clear. For example, Aspiration didn't merely sponsor the Clippers. They also offered $1.1 billion for the rights to name the team's upcoming arena. That's almost twice what Intuit eventually invested for those exact naming rights. For a firm that seemingly operated on misleading financial reports, they undeniably had no hesitation in splurging large sums associated with Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. Yet, the most incriminating part of this whole scenario lies in what Torre uncovered regarding the contract's framework. The agreement contained stipulations that would nullify the contract if Leonard departed from the Clippers or chose to retire. Such conditions are not typical in genuine endorsement agreements. Generally, when a corporation engages an athlete for advertising, the athlete's team connection does not matter. However, this agreement was tailored to aid the Clippers by ensuring Leonard remained with them. Adding to the intrigue, Torre discovered some peculiarities in the contractual obligations. The agreement demanded little from Leonard, merely 50 autographs yearly, 1 photo approval each month, and 5 social media posts each year. Notably, these modest stipulations included a provision permitting Leonard to opt out of any requirement that clashed with his personal convictions. Torre's research indicates that Leonard failed to meet even the most basic requirements. There's a total lack of proof that Leonard supported Aspiration in any capacity. There are no posts on social media, no public appearances made, and no backing of their environmental goals. Essentially, he was granted $28 million for an entire lack of action. The complexity of this scheme becomes even more evident upon analyzing the way the payments were arranged. Instead of sending payments directly to Leonard, funds were routed to his LLC, KL2 Aspire, overseen by his uncle, Dennis Robertson. This added a level of distance that could have complicated detection by the NBA, at least in the beginning. The most astonishing aspect of this narrative is the recurring behavior it uncovers. Recent reports indicate that during Leonard's free agency talks with the Toronto Raptors in 2019, Robertson proposed comparable no-show sponsorship requests and ownership stakes. The distinction? Toronto turned down the opportunity, but the Clippers seemingly managed to accept it. The fallout from this controversy reaches well beyond Leonard and the Clippers. The NBA has engaged the legal team at Wachtell Lipton, Rosen, and Katz, the very same firm that oversaw inquiries into former Clippers owner Donald Sterling and Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver. This is not just a standard investigation. The NBA is deploying serious firepower. The consequences here could be dire, echoing the 2000 Minnesota Timberwolves incident. The Clippers might incur fines reaching $7.5 million, lose draft picks, or risk having contracts nullified. In the Timberwolves situation, they had to give up 5 first-round picks due to their salary cap evasion tactics. The implications for the NBA are significant. As this controversy develops, its impact is resonating across the whole NBA landscape. But the most revealing response may have come from Stephen A. Smith, who launched an exceptionally harsh critique of Kawhi Leonard's career. Smith went beyond merely denouncing Leonard's purported role in this scheme. He seized the opportunity to thoroughly dismantle Leonard's entire career strategy, and frankly, it's tough to dispute his reasoning. He is, without a doubt, the most disappointing superstar I've encountered in sports. The terms worst and superstar are key here. There's no doubt he holds a superstar status, yet I have never witnessed a superstar who does so little to elevate and advertise his team or bolster the brand. It was terrible, doggy. I nearly had a heart attack. Honestly, I need to visit the doctor to get an examination. My heart's racing. Seeing that guy on the podium after the game, actually speaking, I was in shock. I simply cannot believe it. Stephen A. S. Rand precisely illustrates why this scandal resonates so strongly with those familiar with Leonard's journey. Here is an athlete who has skillfully navigated opportunities to boost his income while sidestepping true commitments. Smith goes on with instances that are equally amusing and revealing. This is an individual who starred in New Balance ads, and the youth chimed in, Molly. Those kids, he didn't disclose where. I've witnessed fans approaching him, asking for autographs, and mingling while he lounged comfortably on a bench, having raked in over $40 million without lifting a finger. But Smith's most critical point is how this situation mirrors Leonard's long-standing behavior. When I read the report mentioning money for no effort, it struck a chord. It wasn't about Steve Ballmer or the footage. It was about him. This guy found a way to earn guaranteed cash effortlessly, and that's precisely what he's been doing. The statistic amusingly reinforces Smith's point. Over Leonard's 6 years with the Clippers, he has participated in just 266 out of 492 potential regular season matchups. This is slightly above half of the games available, yet he has continually ranked among the top earners in the league during this time. So how many seasons is that? It's approximately 80 to 90 each. You see, it's about the 2 games. Out of 492 regular season matches, he has appeared in just 266. That means he's participated in only half of the half. Thus, he's superior to Zion Williamson. He's participated in 266 of 492 games. The irony here is heightened when you reflect on the Clippers' ambitions of allegedly bending the salary cap rules to retain Leonard. The expectation was for the team to compete for championships, yet they have regularly fallen short, largely because of Leonard's frequent injuries. So, what did the market respond with? These players were meant to secure several titles. Nothing occurred. Just piled up, kiddo. Nothing occurred. No incidents with these folks. Feel free. Share your knowledge with us. We're flipping the script at this very moment. In the realm of badminton, for all you business owners and investors, this is what we describe as a poor return on investment. If you believe you're scoring a fantastic deal, just track the finances behind it. Consider one of the most entertaining and affluent owners in the NBA, Steve Ballmer. The difference with their neighboring adversaries is stark. As the Clippers supposedly concocted an intricate plan to retain Leonard, the Lakers secured a championship title in 2020, the same year Leonard came on board with the Clippers. Despite their schemes and claimed infractions, the Clippers have achieved nothing significant. However, this controversy extends well past Leonard and the Clippers. It prompts essential inquiries regarding the NBA's salary cap framework and its actual capacity to maintain a level playing field, especially when owners like Steve Ballmer possess nearly infinite means to devise innovative loopholes. As more information surfaces about ambitions, the complexity of this purported strategy becomes clearer. The organization not only secured the Clippers' sponsorship and Leonard's endorsement, but also placed a staggering $1.1 billion offer for naming rights to the Clippers arena, almost double the amount Intuit eventually forked over for those rights. For a business founded on deceptive fiscal reports, they certainly appear ready to invest whatever necessary to uphold their connection with Ballmer and the Clippers. The NBA's reaction to this controversy is poised to establish significant standards for managing comparable incidents ahead. The league has engaged Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz, the same firm that looked into Donald Sterling and Robert Sarver. This indicates that the league is treating these accusations with utmost gravity. The possible repercussions are grave and could drastically reshape the Clippers' prospects. Drawing from the example established by the Minnesota Timberwolves situation, the Clippers might be subject to the loss of several first-round draft picks, potential fines exceeding $7 million, and the cancellation of Leonard's contract. The NBA has a tendency to operate in 2 distinct manners, either openly and vocally or discreetly and behind the scenes. Often, there's no shade of gray. No shades of gray at all. Consider diving into the reasons behind Jordan's 2-year stint in baseball. Then, take note of significant events like the hefty $500,000 penalty imposed on Mark Cuban for his comments about the referees last night. The league is certainly on high alert. I suspect this situation will either reveal a link to the team or an agent in some form. What adds a fascinating layer is the potential impact this could have on other teams and players throughout the league. Should the NBA take stringent action against the Clippers, it will unequivocally convey that bypassing the salary cap is unacceptable, irrespective of the complexity of the strategy or the owner's financial might. However, there's another facet to this narrative that hasn't been highlighted as much: the federal probe into Aspiration itself. Joe Sandberg, one of the founders, has already admitted guilt in a wire fraud case totaling $248 million. This situation extends beyond merely the NBA's salary cap regulations now. This narrative revolves around an expansive corporate fraud scheme linked to a professional basketball team. The scale of the deception at Aspiration is mind-boggling. Federal agents uncovered that the organization had forged letters of intent that accounted for 80 to 90% of their asserted revenue stream. In reality, they operated a complex Ponzi scheme, masquerading as an environmentally friendly tech firm. Leonard's lack of comment during this whole affair has been strikingly pronounced. He hasn't spoken publicly, granted any interviews, or explained his involvement in this purported scheme. For an athlete known for his quiet demeanor, this controversy risks redefining that silence as something more intentional and possibly misleading. The repercussions for Leonard's legacy might be significant. This is an individual who has secured 2 NBA titles and earned 2 Finals MVP honors. He is often seen as one of the premier two-way players of his era. This controversy, however, looms large over the situation, especially in light of his past issues with load management and game absences. For the Clippers, the timing of this affair is especially unfortunate. They have just launched their new $2 billion arena, aiming to step out from behind their crosstown competitors. Now, they're staring down the barrel of serious sanctions that could hinder their franchise for years to come. Steve Ballmer's image as a respected owner in the sports world is also facing considerable damage, regardless of whether he was unknowingly deceived or actively engaged in breaching salary cap rules. Ultimately, this incident occurred under his oversight and with his financial backing. The ramifications for the NBA are considerable. If franchises are allowed to channel funds to athletes via external firms, it erodes the very essence of the salary cap's existence. How the league handles this controversy will shape the future relevance of the salary cap as a safeguard for fair competition or allow it to be merely another hurdle for inventive billionaires to bypass. What is especially intriguing about this situation is that it reveals the weaknesses within the NBA's existing framework. The salary cap regulations in the league were established to curb direct financial transactions between teams and players beyond their agreements. However, they were not fully prepared to address intricate schemes that involve third-party corporations financed by team owners. The outcomes of this situation will likely shape the NBA's future handling of endorsement arrangements and external payments. Should the league conclude that the Clippers breached the salary cap rules, it could usher in much more rigorous scrutiny over all endorsement contracts tying players to any company linked to team ownership. For fans advocating for competitive equity in the NBA, this controversy epitomizes the issues stemming from allowing affluent owners to creatively circumvent salary cap limitations. Steve Ballmer boasts a staggering net worth of around $120 billion, which far exceeds that of the majority of NBA franchise owners. If he employs this fortune to back companies that pay his players off the books, it creates a distinct and unfair competitive edge. Ironically, despite these alleged tactics, the Clippers have been one of the biggest disappointments in the league during Leonard's time. They haven't clinched a championship, often fell short during the playoffs, and have persistently been eclipsed by their city rivals. As one analyst observed, what seemed like a clever business strategy has ultimately faltered because they have achieved little. Bringing in a player who could revolutionize your franchise often backfires. The Clippers might face significant financial fallout. Should the NBA nullify Leonard's contract, the team wouldn't just lose a key player. They'd also erase his salary, which could limit their chances of acquiring new talent. Additionally, the loss of draft picks would hinder their efforts to rejuvenate the roster with emerging prospects. Yet, the most profound and lasting effect may lie in how the NBA interacts with its players. This scandal highlights that the existing framework for enforcing salary caps might not effectively address the evolving dynamics of contemporary sports commerce. To adapt, the league could require stringent disclosure protocols for all external payments to players, irrespective of their claimed separation from the franchises. Additionally, the federal probe into Aspiration prompts scrutiny regarding the diligence exercised in professional sports. How did a company founded on deceptive financial reporting succeed in obtaining a $300 million sponsorship agreement with an NBA team? What methods did they employ to persuade a top-tier entrepreneur to commit $50 million? And what tactics allowed them to allocate $21 million to an athlete without any visible contribution before it raised eyebrows? These inquiries span beyond basketball, delving into core topics of corporate oversight, thorough vetting, and safeguarding against fraud in the realm of professional sports. The revelations may influence the future approaches of all sports leagues concerning sponsorship agreements and payments made by external parties. As this controversy develops, one fact stands undeniable. The era of players and franchises employing inventive strategies to skirt salary cap regulations might be nearing its conclusion. The NBA's handling of this particular incident is likely to influence how the league addresses similar scenarios in the future. The lasting impact of this controversy may not hinge solely on what it discloses about Kawhi Leonard or Steve Ballmer, but rather on the transformation it compels the NBA to undergo. Should the league seize this moment to enhance its regulatory and enforcement frameworks, it may ultimately lead to greater competitiveness and equity within the NBA. Conversely, if the response is tepid or penalties are perceived as inadequate, it could pave the way for affluent owners to devise their own inventive methods of navigating around the salary cap. In such a situation, the equilibrium within the NBA could shift dramatically, as affluent owners might secure an even stronger edge over their financially weaker rivals. The upcoming months will be pivotal in deciding the league's direction. While the investigation continues, consequences remain undecided, and the complete extent of this controversy might still be unclear. Nonetheless, it's undeniable that the NBA's perspective on third-party endorsement agreements will fundamentally change. For Kawhi Leonard, this controversy could mark the conclusion of his professional journey. For Steve Ballmer, this serves as a sobering realization that even the wealthiest individuals can fall prey to elaborate scams. The NBA, in contrast, must recognize that today's sports industry demands enhanced scrutiny and regulatory measures. We appreciate your viewership. If you like this clip, please select one of the boxes on your display to explore additional related videos.